Greetings and thanks for subscribing to my author offerings. Enjoy this digitally rendered audio version of Episode 1 of Tangled Threads of Love.
Episode 1, Marlie, Woodstock or Bust, Thursday, August 14th, 1969. As I stepped outside of our Newcastle mansion, my eyes landed on Jack, like they always did any time he was around. I hung back to watch him load the camper van we had rented for this wild excursion. His rugged physique, chiseled by the manual labor he performed around the neighborhood to keep busy, camouflaged our 30-year age difference. Babs emerged from behind, just as Jack and her husband Sam finished loading the van with supplies and luggage. "Well, don't you look smart, doll. I thought it was Brigitte Bardot herself standing there." Babs clung to her native Queen's accent like a lifeline. I twirled in my paisley mini dress and above-the-knees boots, my headscarf fluttering with my hair. "This old thing?" I batted my eyelashes. "It's a Marlie Bloom original." We shared a giggle. Babs nodded toward the van. "You sure we can sleep in that contraption for 3 nights?" "Sure, there's a bunk and a lower bed." "Use 2, get the upper," Babs said. "I'm not climbing anything after squeezing my bottom into these tight capri pants. I swear that blasted dryer is shrinking our clothes again." I've adored Babs since the day I set foot in Manhattan, and I longed for her to see herself through my eyes. "Your hair and lipstick look très magnifique," I interjected. "Aw, thanks, doll. I rather fancy some bright red lips and tight curls." Babs affectionately patted her short dishwater curls. Jack closed the back doors of the van and brushed his hands together. "Duty done. Let's hit the road." With the van packed, we embarked on our journey to Bethel, New York. What should have been a 2.5-hour trip threatened to drag on thanks to yesterday's radio reports of heavy traffic and extended jams. Babs and I settled into the back seats, with Jack at the wheel and Sam in the shotgun seat. Sam's gaze shifted back to us, curiosity etched on his Clark Kent face. "Remind me why a van full of old coots is going to a hippie fest." He pointed around the van, starting with himself. 30 years old here. Then he pointed at Jack, who cast him a sideways glare. Sam cleared his throat and lowered his volume. Late 50s something there. "No need to make enemies this early on the trip," Jack joked, dialing the radio to a rock station. "And," Sam concluded, glancing toward the back seats, "both 27 back there. Not exactly teenagers." "Fair. Speak for yourself," Babs called out. Radio broadcasts of the unexpected and unprecedented influx of travelers clogging up 17B to attend this concert stirred a deep fear within me, igniting an overpowering need to protect my friends. That's why I dropped my work at the fashion house and scrambled to plan this trip. The merriment around me faded into the background as haunting memories flashed to 7 years earlier, when I awoke from a drugged state, captive in an isolated cabin, oblivious to the location or a way out. It turned out okay for me, but what if it didn't for them? "I'll tell you why we old coots are going," I interjected. "Because I've been worried about Minerva." Elle bit a pink painted fingernail. Or as she wants to be called again, Minnie. It all started last Sunday right after church, Babs interjected. "Yes, right after church." I nodded. "When, out of nowhere, Minnie called Liz, desperate for a ticket to this concert. A ticket for one. So when Stella heard DJ Cousin Brucey announce on the radio that it's now free, I thought we could all tag along." "Yeah," Babs chimed in, "to keep an eye on her." "Why, may I ask," Jack interjected, his tone a mix of curiosity and slight frustration, "when we own one of the most successful fashion houses in New York?" "In the whole damn nation," Babs interjected with pride. "All right, in the whole damn nation," Jack conceded with a smile, looking in the rearview mirror and winking at me. "So why did we have to wait for free tickets?" "Because," I answered, They were planning to charge $24 a head at the gate. The next morning I stirred awake, disoriented, in the cramped bunk bed of the camper van. Stretching my arms, I glanced out the window, immersing myself in the vibrant surroundings. Max Yasgur's farm sprawled before me, a glorious tapestry of golden hues, even under the incessant assault of rain. The meadows had transformed into a muddy mire, yet the blissful spirit of the place remained. A palpable excitement hung in the air, accompanied by the lingering echoes of thunder. Tents and makeshift dwellings covered the fields like scattered wildflowers, while colorful, rain-soaked banners swayed and flapped in the peaceful morning breeze. I sighed, a sense of contentment washing over me as I pulled the warm sleeping bag up and pressed my body against Jack's. Years together did nothing to erase our raw attraction. "Once we've had our coffee," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I want to make our way through this sea of people to track down Liz and Minnie." Jack's voice rumbled beside me, his warm breath tickling my ear. "What about Mitch?" "Forget about Mitch. I just want to know my girls are safe." Jack leaned up on one elbow, peering down at me, the remnants of yesterday's spicy aftershave distracting me. "Your friends are grown women, you know." He raised an eyebrow. Babs chimed in from the bed below. "If yous two gotta wake us up, you better start cooking breakfast and brewing that coffee." "Especially the coffee!" Sam's voice joined the chorus. Reluctantly, Jack and I untangled ourselves, slipping into our clothes at the bottom of the bunk before descending the ladder. As my feet hit the floor, Jack caught me, his powerful arms encircling my waist. He planted a tender kiss on my lips, igniting a longing within me that made me wish we were alone in that van. Anticipation filled the crisp air as Jack ignited the propane stove, awakening a symphony of aromas. The rich scent of percolating coffee mingled harmoniously with the earthy fragrances of wood and damp earth. "Morning?" Jack warmly greeted a visitor, a man wrapped in a mud-caked blanket. "If you have a cup, I'll fill it up with a potent brew." "I'll be back, man," the man replied. A camper stirred from a makeshift bed nearby. "Hey, something smells good." Word about Jack's coffee spread like wildfire, and soon the campsite swelled with fresh faces and friendly banter. The original visitor returned, accompanied by a woman carrying two beautifully crafted ceramic mugs. "She creates these," he introduced proudly. "Gorgeous." I reached for one of the mugs. Swirls of deep purples and blacks with gold specks like stars spoke to my artistic heart. Jack filled both of the ceramic mugs. I went to hand the filled mug back to its owner, but the woman graciously declined. "You keep it," she insisted. "I can make more." I thanked her, wrapping both hands around the ceramic treasure, while Jack handed my fellow artist a simple tin camping cup brimming with steaming coffee. The gathering continued to grow. Jack's diligent efforts never wavered as he filled cups and tended to the percolating coffee. I retrieved extra cans of Maxwell House. Happy Bab's caffeine addiction prompted her to bring our household supply. Our contented guests chatted as all around us, soft tones from acoustic guitars and vocals arose from talented festival goers. "What are we going to do about breakfast?" Jack whispered. "We'll figure it." I paused, just as Babs and Sam appeared from around the corner of the van. My attention zoomed in on Sam, who stood tall in neatly creased navy shorts and a crisp white polo shirt. I couldn't help but chuckle. "How long do you suppose that will stay white around here?" "My husband will be fine," Babs retorted. "He knows how to carry himself." A woman in our newly formed camp circle retrieved a flask from her back jeans pocket, pouring a generous amount of its contents into her coffee. She wiggled the flask in the air, and those near her slid their cups forward, thirsty for a spirited twist. Babs wasted no time, eagerly joining the queue with her cup extended. "A little more, sweetie," Babs requested, motioning for an extra pour. I shot her a sidelong glance. It was morning, after all, and we had a mission today." Babs simply shrugged, undeterred by any judgment. It wasn't long before others returned with fiery bottles of their own. Amid the sharing of food and spirits, the group recounted stories of their eventful journey to Woodstock. Then I sniffed the air. That skunky smell. It had been years, but I recognized it right away. "Yep," the man next to me offered a hit. "No, thanks," I shook my head. "Not today. Gotta keep a clear head." Jack chuckled. "What do you know about that stuff?" I scoffed. "I've tried it." "When?" Jack's head flew back. "Years ago, over Thanksgiving. Stella, Babs, and I went to that wild city party with the giant turkey. I told you all about that night. You laughed. Walter grounded me." I looked up, and there was Babs and Sam, sharing the joint with zest. The pair coughed and laughed. "Hey, you two!" I shouted. Everyone turned to view me, so I walked up to Babs and Sam, lowering my voice. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" "I don't know. A little thing called having fun," Babs replied between huffs of smoke, her laughter intertwining with each exhale. She passed the rolled cigarette to the person beside her. "Do you even know what you're doing? Have you ever smoked before?" Babs turned to Sam, and together they erupted into a fit of giggles. "I've never smoked it, sweetheart. Have you?" "Nope. First time. Right now." "Wait, what time is it?" Sam replied, his words laced with a hint of confusion. "Oh, good Lord!" I aimed my best pleading gaze at Jack. "You keep an eye on them. Forget breakfast. I'm going to change into more suitable shoes for navigating this place. We need to find Liz and Minnie." Using downed tree branches as walking sticks, I led Jack, Babs, and Sam through the rowdy crowd. Most were awake now, with drugs and alcohol flowing freely. Only the typical chaos and fighting that went along with such indulgences couldn't be found anywhere. In fact, in this sublime setting, a resounding air of peace and cooperation prevailed. "Keep your eyes peeled," I called back to my followers. "They could be anywhere." Nonsensical chatter streamed from Babs and Sam, who followed behind Jack until I no longer heard their voices. I halted abruptly, turning to face Jack, whose view seemed transfixed on a topless woman adorned in vibrant body paint. Lost in his reverie, he smacked into me. "Oh, sorry," Jack stammered, snapping back to reality. "Uh-huh. Where are the two that were behind you?" My eyes narrowed. "Huh?" Jack blinked, momentarily dazed. "Babs and Sam," I pressed. "Come on, now we need to backtrack. I swear, Jack Watson, did you smoke some of that?" "No." Jack hastily made an X across his chest. "I just spiked my coffee." A mischievous grin crept across his face. I fought back the urge to fuss. I had a mission, a purpose that couldn't be derailed. I locked eyes with Jack, my gaze resolute. "I know what it's like to be missing, taken away from your friends and family." "Oh, Marlie." Jack stood dumbfounded, unable to speak. "No time to waste," I declared, my determination unwavering. "Let's gather our wandering duo, and then find Liz and Minnie." A half an hour or so later, Jack and I stumbled upon a camp where Babs and Sam stood, their hands clasping cold beers like cherished prizes. Sam raised his can in a toast. I chuckled at his uncharacteristically disheveled state. His once pristine white shirt now fell over his belt, untucked and plastered with mud. "Oh," Sam stammered, attempting to brush off the dirt, only smearing it further. He huffed, blowing a stray tuft of black hair out of his eyes. "Beers are in the cooler," a stranger called out. "Don't mind if I do." Jack lifted the lid of the cooler, plucking out a frosty beverage with gusto. "If you all are done playing, we need to find our friends." I folded my arms for emphasis. "Just stay and be our friends," a woman from the camp offered. Babs replied. "Apparently we gotta find 2 grown women who are perfectly capable of taking care of themselves." Jack snagged another beer. "One for the road." Good idea, Sam chimed in. He and Babs followed suit, each seizing a second beer. We finally forged ahead, me in the lead with my walking stick and my trio behind, clutching frosty brews. Finally, a glimmer of hope surfaced. Liz! Even through the crowd, the floral headband Liz had crafted for the festival stood out like a beacon. She had been so excited since the moon landing about her first real date with Mitch, at Woodstock of all places. I waved my arm through the air. Liz! Liz! Jack, Babs, and Sam joined in. Liz waved back, and after what seemed like a lifetime, we fought our way through the crowd and caught up with her. When we reached her, I drew her into a tight embrace, and, after exchanging hurried pleasantries with Mitch, I got back to the business at hand. Where's Minnie? Liz shrugged nonchalantly, her gaze checking around. Beats me. She's been making friends since we got here. Didn't sleep at our camp last night. Eh? What? Have you forgotten she's 5 months pregnant? It's okay, babe, Jack interjected. We'll find her, just like we found Liz. Jack and I set out to find Minnie, trusting Babs and Sam to stay with Liz. As we ventured, cheers and a rambunctious crowd welcomed the first performer. We heard a helicopter had to fly him in, and that he was never intended to open the show. His strumming and vocals carried throughout the farm as if transcending mortal limitations. I spotted Minnie. I froze and stood back to watch her. I had worked with her just 2 days ago, where she was dressed impeccably in a tweed skirt suit, her coarse ebony hair slicked down and smoothed neatly back. But now, this woman, still radiant with beauty, just in such a different way, danced and swayed in a flowing bohemian dress adorned with chunky gold jewelry. Yet her hair was the most transformative. Someone had set it free, shaping it into a voluminous and spectacular afro. I blinked hard, trying to make sense of this upside-down world. What's up with her? Jack asked. I called her name, jumping up and down, flapping my arms through the air. Minnie rushed to us, and relieved, I wrapped an arm around her as we returned to Liz and Mitch's camp. Okay, I announced. We need to stay together. I think that's a tall order. Liz swayed to the music. All right, I conceded. Then let's all agree to meet back here on Sunday when the last act starts. You got it, Minnie said. I studied Minnie, curious about what had prompted her to call Liz for a ticket to this concert, last minute at that, and then leaving her husband behind to boot. It was out of character for the conservative life she had established and seemed to enjoy as a preacher's wife. And then the drastic overnight physical changes. I told myself I'd offer help when we got home if she was going through any struggles. I finally let go and relaxed for the rest of the weekend, enjoying the performers, the people around us, the party, happy to have a hub for our gang to check in with one another throughout the festivities. When Jimi Hendrix brought the entire crowd to their feet, the festival ended 1 day behind schedule. As the mob thinned out, I checked around. Where's Minnie? I asked for what felt like the umpteenth time that weekend. Only, this time, I wasn't alone in my concern. We all searched frantically, enlisting anyone around. As night approached and the cleaning crew swept through, we trekked to the van, all resolved to locate a phone booth and called the police. The journey to the van dragged on like an endless path. My mind raced in turmoil, mulling over 1,000 possibilities, each more ominous than the last.
Thank you for listening to episode 1 in the second book in my Transcending Vinyl Series, Tangled Threads of Love. Stay tuned for additional episodes and for various digital audio renditions of my other books. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the like button. You can also follow me on my website at katherinepettit.com or follow me on my Ream author subscription at https://reamstories.com/Katherine Lynn Pettit/public